All right, good morning, everybody. Good morning, good morning. The blacksmith is back in the forge. We are here and we are ready to go. I'm running a bit late. I apologize for that. Had some technical difficulties. I need a sound engineer, folks. This is, for me, I'm not a technical guy at all. When it comes to technology, I'm just not. So if the mic was working last week, it should be working this week. I'm very logical, but it wasn't. So I had to figure that out. Um, all right, folks, over here at the Blacksmith Podcast, we forge men, and every Saturday we do a financial live, and this be it. Now, today I want to get right into it for two reasons. One, I'm already late, and two, it's actually a lot to cover. So if you're wondering what today's topic is going to be, let me get my mic a little closer so you can hear what I'm saying. So if you're wondering what today's topic is going to be, it's already on your screen. We're going to actually go through the Robinhood earnings call. If you have never, ever heard an earnings call, you need to hear this. And I'm telling you, this kind of knowledge, if you're going to, it'll change your life. It'll change your life. No, it's not going to magically make more zeros appear behind the ones you may have in your bank account. Not right away. Then it's not going to be a genie kind of effect. However, what I need y'all to do is lock in because, and don't be bored. And this is a thing, right? I was talking to one of my beloved mentees, and I told him, you have to be entertained by the boring stuff. What the world would consider boring, if you get entertained by it, you're going to do much better than the world. And most of the world is uncomfortable talking about these topics or whatnot. They don't even like talking about money. They don't like talking about investing. They don't like talking about their relationship with money. Be comfortable be comfortable being uncomfortable, in the uncomfortable. Talk about it. Tell people what your relationship is with money. Ask people about theirs because this is how you learn. All right. So without further ado, I'm going to start playing this. Chat, please let me know if y'all have any comments or any questions, any concerns, or if you can't hear this. Thank you to everyone for joining. Can everybody hear this in the chat? 2025 earnings call. Joining today are Chair and CEO Vlad Tenev. Cool. CFO Thank you. Jason Warnick, and VP of Corporate Finance and Investor Relations, Chris Cagle. Vlad and Jason will offer opening remarks and then open the call to Q&A. During the Q&A portion of the call, we will answer questions from institutional research analysts, and we will also answer questions from retail analysts who may hold an ownership position in Robinhood. As a reminder, today's call will contain forward-looking statements. Actual results. All right, I'm gonna let this play out. But if you didn't hear, Vladimir, what is his name? Vlad Tenev. Vlad Tenev is this guy right here on the left. This is the CEO. And I think the other guy's name, oh, there he is, Jason. Jason Warnick right here. He is the chief financial officer, so the CFO. So we can go over, I'm sorry, I can't make it louder. I've got it turned up as loud as it will go. If you look at my screen here, the bar is already set as high as it'll go. Yeah, sorry about that. Yeah, I can't make it any louder. I would say try and turn on your volume as high as it'll go and try and go in a closet, a quiet room. I'm just playing. Not a closet, but a quiet room and see if you can headphones or something to make it better. I can't make it any louder than this. And let me see my computer's volume. I guess I could. Oh, Jesus. Hopefully that didn't blow your eardrums out. All right. But that's who's going to be talking to us. That's what they're talking about is this guy right here, Vlad Tenev. He's co-founder of Robinhood. And then this guy, CFO Jason Warnick, they're going to be talking to you about the trajectory of Robinhood and what they have done. Could differ materially from our current expectations, and we may not provide updates unless legally required. Potential risk factors that could cause differences
including regulatory developments that we continue to monitor, are described in the press release we issued today, the earnings presentation, and our SEC filings, all of which can be found at investors.robinhood.com. Today's discussion will also include non-GAAP financial measures. Reconciliations to the GAAP measures we consider most directly comparable can be found in the earnings presentation. With that, please welcome Vlad and Jason.
Devant toi, mon cœur se serre.
I love that they do live calls. This is awesome. So now you can see them. They're real people.
Right. Hey, everyone. Great to speak with you again today. Thank you for joining us. This is our second live video earnings call. I think the last one hopefully was informative and entertaining, so we're happy to be with you again. If I had to sum up the quarter, what I'm most excited about is the incredible product velocity. And it was across our three focus areas, which, if you remember, are building the number one platform for active traders, being number one in wallet share for the next generation, and building the number one global financial ecosystem. So let's get into it in a little bit more detail. When I look at our active trader offering, it just keeps getting more disruptive. We launched futures and prediction markets in Q1, and futures are accelerating nicely. So about 4.5 million contracts traded in April alone, which is more than all of Q1. So Q1, which was a strong quarter, greatly was accelerated in April. And prediction markets have done over 1 billion contracts in the last 6 months. And we've recently started to increase the breadth of the contracts we offer. So we're still very much in the early stages there. On Robinhood Legend, which, if you remember, we announced at Hood Summit late last year and launched fully a few months after that, we've been making a lot of improvements. We've upgraded speed. We've brought in new asset classes like crypto and index options. We've added support for joint accounts, more indicators and charts, and really more features being shipped on a weekly basis. So the team has just been executing incredibly quickly on making Robinhood Legend the best platform for active traders. And all of that has been driving strong incremental volume on the Legend platform. There's actually a lot more to come. The team's already spending a lot of time preparing for the second annual active trader event, which we'll be holding this fall. We're also working to serve far more of our customers' assets. So at our last City of Gold event, just this past March, we announced 3 new products: Robinhood Strategies, Robinhood Cortex, and of course, Robinhood Banking. Pretty awesome that Robinhood Strategies already has over 40,000 customers and over 100 million in assets. So that's gone off to a very rapid start. Robinhood Gold. So when you look at the Gold credit card, we doubled the Gold card holders to 200K just in the past few weeks. And we love what we're seeing. We know that there's a ton of excitement about getting the credit card from customers. We see it on social media and in the questions, and we're excited to accelerate the rollout from here. So already doubled, and it's going to continue. Retirement assets, they're now up to 16 billion, which is up about 20% just from the start of the year. And we closed the acquisition of Trade PMR, which was bringing over 40 billion of platform assets to Robinhood. So a lot of progress on wallet share. And on global financial ecosystem, this is our 10-year arc. We continue to make the UK brokerage offering better and better. And we're working on launching in Asia. So excited about that. Bitstamp acquisition.
All right, I'm gonna stop it right before he says that. So, look, folks, take notes. This is extraordinary. You're about to learn, and I should have said this in the beginning. You're about to learn why HOOD is the TBP's MVP. I always say TBP's MVP is HOOD. You're about to learn why right now. Did you hear what he said? Right? You can't hear me. The video. Hold on. Now, hold it. There's a problem now. Somebody can't hear me. Can anybody else hear me? Can everybody hear me? I'm getting that somebody can't hear me.
I can hear you loud and clear.
Okay. Maybe try to reset whatever you're listening on. It sounds like they can hear me. Hopefully you can hear them. Let me see. Y'all can probably see that too. But hey, okay, you can hear me in the video. Okay, somebody's having some difficulties. And I always worry about that because I want to provide y'all the best quality video and information possible. So I'm trying to work all the technicals, but if you personally know me, like really know me, I'm not a technical guy at all. I pay somebody to do it before I have to do it because I'm not a hands-on kind of guy. Just not. I'm an air traffic controller. It requires no physical labor at all. But anyway, listen, you're about to learn why Hood is, yeah, there's my brother talking about this, what he's here for. He's got an IT background. I love him. And his trade. But hey, so they're talking about right now, if you didn't catch that, they've expanded to the UK and also they're looking to expand in Asia. And why is that big, right? So we're going to talk about expansion. Expansion means more investors, right? And don't be fooled. There are millionaires in Europe. There's old money in Europe. Think about all the shows and movies you've seen and knights and shining armor and all that stuff, all those dukes and earls. Listen, people still have that money. That there's still old money over there, but there's also common men and women over there that can actually that are also a part of their tallies for new enrolled people or new investors, subscriptions for gold. All kinds of the numbers he's running down. Now, I didn't stop it during the numbers. Just if you want those specifically, go back and pause the video. I'm going to put this up, should be within 30 minutes of being done. I'm not going to hold this too long, but there's something I want to say, right? So Asia, why is Asia so important? What's the most populated? What country has run their population through the roof in the last like 10 years? And I think it's the most populated country now. If you didn't know, India, right? India is in Asia. Most people think it's in the Middle East. There's India, there's Pakistan, and the line of demarcation between the Middle East and Asia is Pakistan, right? So India is in Asia, and their population has boomed. They are creating more doctors, more STEM, science, technology, engineering, and math degrees and professionals than probably anybody else in the world. Maybe China, right? But again, in Asia, they're running neck and neck. If they expand to Asia, they are going to boom because they are very good with money. Now, you talk about relationships with money. Americans typically have a very poor relationship. They do not. All right, let's continue. Uh-oh, something in the chat. Oh, okay, that was my brother.
Position still on track to close mid-year, and we're heads down getting things ready for the crypto event, which will be in France in 2 months. So
okay, he said something there that we missed. It's an acquisition. He's going to say it again. I've listened to this. He's going to say it again. Don't worry about it. That's why I'm trying not to pause it.
We're very excited about that. There's going to be some new things unveiled. And wrapping it all up, as a result of the strong product velocity, we saw strong business results as well. Revenues up 50% year over year, trading volumes all up double digits year over year, including a record quarter for options trading. Record net deposits as well, 18 billion of net deposits in the quarter. So I'm glad to see the strategy's working. Customers are not only trading more with us, but they're entrusting us with more of their assets. Gold subscribers nearly doubling year over year to 3.2 million as of the end of the quarter, and actually now 3.3 million in April. And that's a 12% plus adoption rate overall. But if you look at new customers who joined Robinhood in Q1, about 1 in 3 became gold subscribers relatively quickly. And we look on international, that's continuing to accelerate. We are now up to over 150,000 international customers, and that's just going to keep going and going. So we feel great about our product velocity and the business results that it's driving. I'll turn it over to you, Jason, to talk through financials, and then we'll go straight to Q&A.
Okay, thanks, Vlad. Q1 was another quarter of profitable growth as revenues grew 50% year over year and EPS more than doubled. Our focus on profitable growth drove 72% incremental margins as adjusted EBITDA margin expanded by 11 points from a year ago. And over the past 12 months, revenues reached $3.3 billion and adjusted EBITDA was $1.7 billion as we continue to grow and diversify our business. It's also great to see momentum continuing into the second quarter. April net deposits are around $6.5 billion. Equities trading is a 4-year high. Options are in the zone of an all-time high, and crypto trading is north of $8 billion. Also, margin balances are about $8.4 billion, which is up 2x from last year.
All right, let's talk about that real quick. If you don't know what he's talking about, don't just sit here and hear a bunch of words and not know what he's talking about. If he's saying a word, you don't know, you may know what the word means in general, but as it applies to finances or the stock market, like margin, write that down. Do me a favor, write it down or type it out in your phone. And we can do an episode and talk all about these financial terms, but you won't get much from it if you're not like paying attention to that stuff. So what he's talking about there, if you are a gold customer, you can do what's called trade on margin. Basically, if you have $20,000 in your portfolio, what they will do is they will approve you to trade on margin. So basically, they will give you what's in your portfolio. So if you got 20K, they'll give you another 20K to invest. Now loan, let words mean something. Words have meaning. They will loan you another 20,000 so you can invest that as well. Why is that important? Because most people are going to take at least part of it. I wouldn't necessarily take all of it, but they're also going to invest that. But remember, that 20K is owed back. So if you're going to invest on margin, make sure you are buying at a 52-week low and making sure when it springs up, you sell part of that and give them back part of their margin. So that's what he's talking about, just borrowing. All right. Hey, I can hear you. I can hear you. All right. Thank you. Appreciate it.
I'm pleased with our customers' continued engagement. It's driven by a greater share of active traders who tend to stay resilient through volatility, continued market share gains, and diversification into newer areas like Robinhood Legend, advisory, futures, and index options. Let's take a closer look at our Q1 financials compared to a year ago. Q1 revenues were $927 million, driven by strong growth across the board. Transaction volumes increased by double digits across all categories, including up 84% year over year in equities, and we saw record options volume in the quarter. Interest earning assets and securities lending activity continued to grow, more than offsetting short-term rates, and other revenues grew as gold subscriptions reached new highs. We also stayed disciplined on expenses, leading to 51% adjusted EBITDA margins. In Q1, adjusted OpEx and SBC was $533 million, in the middle of our updated full-year outlook range on a quarterly basis. As we previously announced, we anticipate approximately $85 million of costs from trade PMR in 2025. So we updated our full-year outlook for adjusted OpEx and SBC to $2.085 to $2.185 billion. As a reminder, this outlook does not include costs from our anticipated acquisition of Bitstamp or provisions for credit losses.
All right. So credit losses, he's talking about that Robinhood Gold credit card. that people are asking about. If you weren't aware, they had a credit card, and so you know how people do. They run up a balance on a credit card, and then they're over. What is it called? They don't pay it back. So he's talking about credit losses there. But what he said that we didn't hear before, and I told you he was going to say it again, they're looking to acquire Bitstamp. Google that, write it down. We're going to put a bookmark right there, Bitstamp. And they're going to tell you about it a little later on. All right.
Let's talk for a moment about how we're diversifying our business. You've heard me say that we have 9 businesses that each generate over 100 million in annualized revenues, nearly double the number we had just a couple years ago. And I'm excited to say we have many more that are quickly scaling. For example, we've recently launched 3 new products, futures, index options, and prediction markets, where the ARR for each of them individually is already around 20 million. And with the addition of Trade PMR, we've added a business that has a $50 million run rate and a nice track record for growth. And there's several more businesses that we recently announced and expect to begin contributing later this year, including Robinhood Strategies, Robinhood Banking, and our acquisition of Bitstamp in the middle of the year. So we're incredibly excited about all these new businesses, and I like our opportunity to build many of them into additional $100 million revenue businesses in the coming years.
All right. So this guy, the CFO, if you don't know what that is, I'll put it. I'll find a way to. I'll find a part in the video where I'll flip over. Just Google CFO for now, and we'll go over it later. So I can keep you looking at them. But listen, this guy's in charge of the money, basically. You think Robinhood is just one business. He just told you they're actually made up of 9 different businesses. And he told you 2 more plans, Robinhood Strategies and something else, to add 2 more business to it. So there'll be 11. And they're going to acquire Bitstamp around June or July, the middle of the year, right? That's what he said, right? Pay attention to that, because remember, COVID showed us that if your business is single faceted, you can get shut down very quickly. But if let's say you're a financial institution, right? You lend money to people and you allow them to store it. Conversely, you're a bank, right? This is going to sound weird, but just hear me out. If they walk in and they can do all their banking there, but then you move to the left, there's a door in there and it's in like a shopping mall plaza, and you have a grocery store. Now you sell groceries. And then if you walk back into the bank and went to the right, the bank is dead ahead. To the left, grocery store. To the right, they got a whole auto mechanic shop. Look, you are a triple threat in the market, right? And so if something like COVID or hard times hit, your grocery store might still earn money. Your banking numbers might go down. Your auto mechanic numbers might go down, but you're still held up by 1 or 2 other things, right? So just get what I'm saying. That's kind of an extreme example, but Robinhood is showing you that there's this one game where you have all these sticks in 3 different in all around different directions, and then you pour a bunch of marbles on them, and then you remove sticks, and the person who removes the stick that makes everything fall down loses, right? That's what he's telling you. They got enough sticks in all these different directions to hold Robinhood up. I'm telling you, they're going to be a one-stop shop. And Vlad even said that's their vision.
I also want to give an update on our share repurchase program. You'll recall we began executing on our $1 billion share repurchase plan in Q3 last year, with target completion over 2 to 3 years. Since then, we've moved faster and have deployed over $650 million at an average price of $33 per share. This includes over $300 million of buybacks in Q1, which more than offsets share issuance for Trade PMR. Given our strong performance and positive outlook, Our board has increased the authorization by $500 million, taking the program up to a total of $1.5 billion. We expect to deploy the remaining $800 million plus over roughly the next 2 years, but we're keeping flexibility to accelerate if market conditions warrant. So we feel great about our business and financial results and remain focused on driving another year of profitable growth in 2025. We're continuing to work to maximize earnings per share and free cash flow per share over time. With that, Chris, let's move to Q&A.
All right. Thank you, Jason.
All right, to finish that out, before they move to, now here's the piece de resistance. You wanted to hear these, right? Because what they're going to do is they're going to answer the top 3 questions, right? So if you go on Robinhood right now and you click Hood and go under them, here's the top 3 questions. They're going to answer these, right? But there were a lot more questions that were asked. I myself asked 2. And the 3 that they did ask about, honestly, I think one of them, just this one right here, is one that I was mainly concerned about, but all of them are important. But we're not going to get ahead of ourselves. Here comes the Q&A. So make sure you take some notes. If you miss it, you can always go back and listen to it. But a lot of this stuff, once they get through the top 3 questions, they're going to allow phone calls. People are going to actively be on the phone and they're going to ask them questions. And some of them are about the same, but you can tell these folks know finances. So here we go.
For the Q&A session, we'll start by answering the top few questions from Say Technologies ranked by the number of votes. We passed over questions that we've already addressed on this call or in prior quarters and grouped together questions that shared a common theme. After the Say questions, we'll turn to live questions from our analysts. So let's kick it off with our first question from Say. Patrick asks, what is Robinhood doing to accelerate credit cards and checking accounts to their Gold members?
Thanks for the questions. I'll start with the Gold card and maybe turn it over to you, Vlad, for banking. As I've mentioned, it's really important for us to study customer behavior as we roll out the card. We've been doing that and have increased the number of cardholders from 100,000 to over 200,000 just in Q1. So far, what we're seeing in terms of customer behavior is in line with our expectations, so we feel good. And we plan to continue increasing the number of cardholders throughout the year, but along the way, we're going to continue to be measured in the near term. Vlad?
Thanks, Jason.
All right, look, real quick. What he just basically told you is in the most polite way possible. I know you want that Gold card, but we are rolling it out as fast as we are comfortable because we know people run up balances and don't pay them. So when he said we're measured and we're being cautious, pick up on stuff like that, right? Robinhood was a trading platform first, but remember, in the previous quarter, they said that they were moving towards being a lending institution. But how do lending institutions get in trouble is that too many people run up debt and don't pay it off. And then they have to charge it off and sell it to, those companies, collections, right? But they're not trying to have that. So what he's doing, they tested the waters with the first 100,000. Now they rolled out another 100,000. They're not going to just make it rain Gold cards is basically what he's saying. All right, Vlad's going to add more. Remember, this is the CEO.
Yeah, on the banking side, so we announced at Velocity of Gold event back in March, Robinhood Banking. And the philosophy behind this product is that we want to build a compelling banking experience for the top of the market. So if you're someone who's a high net worth individual with more assets, we wanted to provide a digital banking experience where you would feel like you're not making compromises relative to your brick and mortar bank. And I don't think any digital bank has taken that approach. So we're extremely excited. We've been testing the product internally. It's looking really good. I think you're gonna like it. And at the event, we announced rolling out to the public in Q3, and we feel good.
Awesome.
Yeah. So
I'm sorry, gotta pause it. Here it is. Listen, this right here was the number one question I was waiting for them to answer. I'm sorry. And I'll tell you why, right? You may not know this about private companies or publicly traded companies. Let me give the a little background on this one. This is one of the most important things they're going to answer in this call. And thank you, Lord, somebody asked it, right? Look, folks, I'm a serious investor, right? And obviously, the guy who asked that question, I think it was Nico. Nico always asks questions. Nico had one or two of the top three questions answered last time, right? So know that. But anyway, private companies, right? Private companies, when they start up, what they do in order to start up is they look for VCs. VCs, take notes, venture capitalists, right? So they go to people who they know are high net worth or companies, and there are a lot of them out there. In fact, if you've heard of Shark Tank, those are venture capitalists. All those people sitting out there grading your company and thinking whether or not they're gonna invest or not, those are called venture capitalists. So if you needed to put imagery to it, Shark Tank, right? So what they do is they are high net worth individuals that have the capital. If you need $10 million for a building, for 5 trucks, for 20 computers and 18 employees to get your stuff off the ground and product and stuff like that, these people will I'll give you 500,000. But I want a 50% return on my money, which means you need to return them 250 grand more than what they lent you, 750,000 overall, right? Or they'll say, you know what? I'll give you 5 million. You need 10 million startup. I want 20% stake in the company, which means they want 20% ownership, or when you break the company into shares, if you're still private, you still have shares of the company. They want to own 20% of your company, right? And let's just get to it. So once they get the $10 million, right, from all the venture capitalists, those people are the ones who are buying the shares of the company. And they get evaluations. Let's say they get their 10 million and 6 months later, they get a $20 million evaluation, right? So that's double from where they start. And then they stay private. And then a year later, they get a $50 million evaluation. So now the shares of the company are growing. But when the company is private, the shares in the company might start out at 20 cents per share, 40 cents per share. And these people who want 50% of that, they're buying all these shares at 20 cents per. Now watch this. All the venture capitalists, let's say they bought all the shares of a private company and they were only $2 or less, right? Now they get their evaluation and they're going to go public. Now they go public at a $200 million company, right? Now let's say the stock market says your company, each share is valued at $40 per share, right? So what happens? Oh, this brand new camera company is coming out and their shares are $40. Now you go public. Now watch this. Now the common man can invest in you. And they have to invest starting at $40. And then the more common man that invests, the higher that price goes. So now you got people, after a month, you got people investing at $47, $48, $49 a share. Watch this. If you notice, look at the stocks. When they IPO, they go up real sharp and they always plummet down. Do you know why that is? Because the high net worth individuals pull all their money out. They cash in all their chips, basically, and pull all their money out of the stock market of that stock, right? So now the common man is left holding the bag. Now you've bought 10 shares at $47 and the stock has now tanked to $17. Now you're down $30 a share. And what are the common man? What do most common men do? But when they're uneducated, the stock plummeted, sell it. Now they just lost all their money, right? So if they lost $30 on 10 shares, that's $300, easy math, right? And they just lost it and they won't recover it because they sold. That stock is going to come back up if it's a good company, but it's going to take more and more. It's going to take more time because those people who just sold out at $2 or less, they'll buy back in at the bottom again at $17 and they'll drive it back up. And when it goes up to $65, they'll sell again and take all that profit. So you got to know how this works. So now, having said that, their requirements, and this is the last thing I'll show, and then we'll get back to the video. Watch what I'm about to show you, right? Hold on. Requirements for private company investing. All right, look at this. So this is something that's actually lesser known. Hopefully y'all can see it. You can. Okay, to invest in private companies, individuals typically need to be accredited investors, possessing a certain level of wealth or expertise. Accredited investors are generally required to have a net worth exceeding $1 million, right? And when you talk about your net worth, what is your net worth? Basically, take all of your assets and take all of your liabilities or debt, subtract them up. And if that is negative 2,000 and your net worth is negative 2,000, you owe $2,000. But if you're positive 10,000, your net worth's 10,000. It's just that simple. All right, so look, or annual income exceeding $200,000 individually or $300,000 jointly for at least 2 years. Who earns that kind of money? That's life-changing money. When people say the rich get richer, this is what they're talking about. But you shouldn't hate the game. Play the game to win. Strive to be that $200,000 earner. Strive to invest in these private companies. Additionally, professional certifications or licenses in the financial industry may also qualify individuals as accredited investors. So here's something you might not have known. If you actually got some certifications or degrees in the financial industry and worked for a firm helping high net individuals, that might get you in the door. What they're talking about right now is allowing the common man to now invest in private companies before they go public. So you ought to be ecstatic about it. You ought to be over the moon because you're about to, if they're talking to Congress about this, right? And yes, you can invest in some companies even if you don't make that much. Yes, that I do. Yes, I'm talking in generalities right now, but the chat is undefeated. He is exactly right. And there's actually there's a platform that lets you do that, but let's put that in the chat. But right now, let me stay on the 80%, right? Most people can't invest in private companies, but he is right. So you should be over the moon. You should be ecstatic. This is one of the most groundbreaking things ever. So Robinhood has pioneered a lot of stuff. They've let people invest, opening accounts, portfolios with $0, and they give you a free stock. Before, if you weren't aware, in the 90s, the 80s, the early 2000s, you had to have like $20,000 cash to open a portfolio, or they wouldn't take you seriously. You're not a serious investor. You don't have enough money to be worth our time. Charles Schwab, you name it, $50,000 in order to invest in portfolios. Who's got that kind of money? The top 10% have that kind of money. The top 5% have that kind of money, right? That's why stocks in the stock market have never been a common man thing. So if mom and daddy didn't teach you, that's probably why, because they didn't know. Now, for you, you have less of an excuse to not know because all this information is at your fingertips. Okay. So anyway, I wanted y'all to know that before we roll into this, because this is something that is not normal. And let me let him just tell it.
This is actually one of our top policy priorities. We believe that it's actually quite crazy that, you know, customers can't invest in private companies, given that companies are staying private longer. The days of, you know, a Microsoft going public at a multi-hundred-million market cap, or Apple at relatively low market caps, and you being able to take advantage of a lot of the appreciation in public markets, they're fewer and far between. Now you have companies like OpenAI and SpaceX still private and in valuations of hundreds of billions. So those gains are accruing to a smaller and smaller group of insiders.
See that?
We have the technology to do this.
You heard that? I said 80%. I know I've seen this before, but I was just speaking in generality, so I typically use that amount. He just told you it shut out about 80% of everybody, right? So most people cannot invest in private companies. Now, the chat is correct. There is a way to do it, and there are some companies you can, but for the bulk of them, you can't. And he just told you, and this guy is a billionaire. This guy, I think his net worth was quoted maybe 2 years ago. He came on to Earn Your Leisure. His name is Vladimir Tenev, or Vlad for short. Earn Your Leisure had him on. They've had several billionaires, and I think his net worth 2 years ago, maybe three, maybe it's 22 or 23, was $2 billion. So he just told you the billionaire secrets, the rich secrets. Most of y'all can't get in the door. So they're trying to make it to where we can. So I appreciate that. H to the Izzo. I'm just playing. All right. So when you watch this back, there may be a double sound for a little bit. I'm screwing this up, but I'm building the plane while I'm flying it. I forgot to mute my microphone because my speaker is right here next to the computer. And so you may hear a double sound, but I've been on top of it and muting it when I'm not talking. But okay, he finished that question. Listen, if you're not excited right now, I don't know what to tell you. And during their earnings call, their stock actually ran up a couple dollars per share, right? And that will actually happen in anticipation for precipitation stack chips for the rainy day. No, I'm just kidding. No, in anticipation for what they're going to say, um, people will start buying the stock. And during the call, they will start buying the stock. So it'll run up. So if you were trying to do options, that might be a good time, but you might get burned too. If they say something that was highly unpopular, it may crash it down. It's no different than when the president is speaking about something that may affect that business. It's going to crash down in an earlier round. But we're going to go ahead and let them go ahead and speak. They're going to get to phone calls now. And look at how much they've given you, and we're less than 20 minutes in. This is incredible. This is the most incredible earnings call I've ever heard. I'm not playing.
Questions from Say Technologies. Now we will open the call.
All right, so sorry, I was muted. All right, so this guy that called in was from Citibank. If y'all didn't hear that, right? Citi. So obviously, if you get a degree in finance, that's a very, very lucrative degree. And if you get certifications in that, you can work for these big for-profit banks. What Vlad just basically told him, right, is that in 2022, they were more focused on novice investors. So when I tell people utilize Robinhood, I'm actually not I'm not paid by Robinhood yet. I'm trying to get that affiliate link, but I personally do think that Robinhood is one of the best platforms for novice investors because they make everything super easy. They answer questions. It makes it to where you don't even have questions a lot of times. When I had Webull and all these other ones, TD Ameritrade and all that kind of stuff, you could tell it was more for advanced investors. And that's what he's saying. In 2022, they were more primarily focused on novice advanced investors. Now they're focused on advanced investors because they're allowing people to short the market, which if you don't know what that is, that's what I'm talking about. They're allowing people to do futures and options trading galore. And then he threw out a number about how much money came through for options, right? That's an advanced investor thing. Novices should not be trying to do that. You should buy and hold great companies and concentrate into buying shares in the great companies. Do your research, start paper trading first before you do options. If you're losing like everybody against Mike Tyson in the late 80s, then you don't need to be trading options. It's not for novices. Don't be ashamed that you're a novice. You start where you start. All right, let me keep this running. All right, here we go. I keep forgetting to. If y'all see me do this, I'm just tapping the top of the mic because that's how you mute or unmute. Listen, fantastic. Look, he just talked about how important the Robinhood Gold membership is, right? He just said they're going to add perks to it like Costco memberships, which I have and love. My wife pretty much lives there, got a big family. And Amazon Prime. Listen, they're about to add a lot. And Amazon, what is gold membership? One of my boys, he told me the other day that it's $50 a year or $5 a month, right? And so that's $60 a year if you pay monthly. Save yourself $10 and get the annual. But Robinhood Gold is a gold mine, basically. All right, here we go.
Of improvements both for traders and coming down the pike, but more selection, smart exchange routing, and the team's been executing a lot, and there's so much to do. So we're excited for the June event, but I'd also tell you we're diversifying the business.
The next question is from Roy at Crossroads.
I think that should be simple, Simon. Basically, he just said they're gonna make crypto trading better. Enough said. All right. All right, I'm gonna take probably two more questions like I'm on the panel. No, I mean I'm gonna let it play like two more questions to get about 30 minutes in because this is an hour call. I'm sure y'all can see that. And then we may do just a part two next week. But what I want is for everybody to actually go and watch this video. And if you haven't seen this earnings call, I'm telling you, it's stuff like this that'll change your life, right? Um, it will change the trajectory of how you invest and what you invest in. If you are buying shares of a company, becoming part business owner, right? Owning a part of that business, and you're not watching these calls to even see what they're talking about the trajectory of the company is, For all you know, you might have just bought 100 shares of Nike just because you knew it in the 80s, 90s, early 2000s is a good company. And they may do an earnings call, say, hey, we're cooked. We're going downhill. We're fried. We're fricasseed. It's over. And you just bought shares and now it tanks because they told you they're filing bankruptcy and you're not following the news. That's what this is doing. Follow the news, be interested in part of the company that you own. If you're not and you're just going to buy shares, then you're not thinking like a wealthy person, so you're not going to be one. Wealthy people are looking at every single article that comes out about companies they're investing in. They're not worried about male versus female commentary and content on the internet. They're not worried about what blue and red are necessarily doing and being offended by everything that happens. They are worried about policy now. They are worried about that and comments that are made that basically you marry them up to financials. So if it's got nothing to do with that, they're not involved. But if you're not reading articles and studying this stuff like every day, then you're not doing what the business owners are doing. The people that own 20%, the people that own 5%, the Warren Buffetts of the world, right? You're not acting like them, so you're not planning on being one. So let's take another one or two, and then we'll end this one. All right.
This question is
So I think he was waiting for the CFO to chime in. If y'all haven't paid attention since that last question, the CFO has actually been taking notes. Look at the notepad right there, right? So what he's doing is probably taking notes on something they're not doing that they now know that people are concerned with, or businesses at this point, right? Because that's who's calling in, people from businesses, and these people are the reps that are speaking on behalf of the business. So if it's Nick from Citi, he's the rep speaking for Citibank, right? So if you didn't realize that, sorry, I was drinking a protein shake and one of the raspberry seeds just flew out my mouth. So if the camera caught it, sorry. All right, that's why you don't speak with your mouth full. Mom and Daddy taught me well, but I didn't use it. All right, look. So what he just said right there, and if you paid attention to the question, Vlad just kind of dodged answering the question, and for good reason. So part of that guy's question, because he said, I think a pullback on futures. Part of that guy's question, it was, have you seen customers migrating over from other platforms? Basically, who are you stealing business from, and have you seen customers coming from other platforms. Basically, what he did was a nice way of, he dodged it. He's not going to say, oh, yeah, we stole clientele from Charles Schwab and Webull and TD Ameritrade. That's how you make enemies. He's not making enemies. So he dodged that one. And he said, we can't give you a full scope on that. It's probably because they weren't prepared to answer that question and he's not going to answer. Maybe next quarter, they might come with notes on who they've seen the customers migrating from and plan in their board meetings for him to come to the next earnings call prepared to answer that question, right? But that's one he might even dodge next time until people, maybe if it's like one of the top 3 voted questions, he might talk about it. But you don't want to make enemies in business, right? You may be taking their business, but you don't want to make them enemies. All right, let's take one more. All right, so that's going to be the last one we're going to take because we're at an hour and 8 minutes worth of video time. Listen, thank y'all for joining me, but the forge isn't going to go cold just yet, so I probably should have just spoke on that first. Listen to what he just said, right? Now, I don't know what the Cortex part of their business is yet. He mentioned something about AI, so it may have something to do with that, but he did say they're rolling it out for only gold members first. Folks, I'm telling you, I can't say it enough. If you are not gold, you're going to miss out on some good stuff and you won't even know what you're missing out on. So basically, look, gold has so many perks. What I might do is look up what all perks that their gold membership has. And some of the stuff he's talking about is not in play yet, but he's saying it's going to come. And when it does, they're giving it to the gold members first. So Robinhood is a free to trade platform. You don't have to spend a dime trading on their platform except transaction fees, right? So they charge you a transaction fee. I think it's like 25 cents per trade. So if you buy, if you sell, so if you want to spend the least amount of money on their platform, well, come with a pot of money and actually buy 100 shares at once if you know that's what you want. Because if you buy 100 shares singular transactions, you're going to pay like a quarter for each one of them. So you're just spending more money. But listen, this has been a great show. I hope you enjoyed it. I'm going to say it again. HOOD is TBP's MVP. Now, I know that's a tongue twister. Don't try to say it 5 times fast. I don't want none of y'all biting your tongues. But listen, folks, get involved, get excited, and get schooled up and educated on what you're investing in. Because if you don't, no one else will. And remember, if you seek to be more entertained by nonsense, then don't expect to be a master of the market. You can't master the market looking at who cheated with who and red carpet events. And I'm not saying don't watch any of that stuff, but if you know more about LeBron James' stats and his thoughts and philosophies than you do about your own portfolio and the companies that are in it, then don't expect to be a master of the market. You will master what you give the most time to. Always remember that. I'm speaking to somebody out there, looking in my eyes. All right, so the forge is going cold, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for joining me. And again, next week, we'll do part 2. I've got logged where we stopped, and we're going to pick up from there, all right? I love y'all. Share this video, this content with somebody it could help. Please share. That is the most, I'm begging you. Please share it out. Share the channel as a whole. This is for free. I didn't get paid one dime to do this. And this is an hour of my time or more every Saturday, but it's free. So I'm begging you, please share it out. Please bring more subscribers over, and please get active on the channel. All right. Forge is going cold, folks. See you Saturday next week. Good day. Have a good weekend.